last class we have seen the essential elements of offer. Now today we will learn some more terms like I have written the heading offer continues. That means some more terms we have to learn under it. Cross offer. Cross offer means similar offers crossing each other in ignorance of each other's knowledge. For example, A is sending an offer to B that he is ready to sell his table for 5,000 rupees. At the same time, B is also making one offer in ignorance of A's offer. I am ready to buy your table for 5,000 rupees. So both are identical offers crossing at the post office, but there is no acceptance. Only offers are exchanged. Similar kind of offers are exchanged, but there is no acceptance. So it will not lead to contract. That is the meaning of cross offer. Two identical offers getting exchanged, but there is no acceptance, so it will not lead to contract. At the same time, in ignorance of each other. Cross offer means two identical offers getting exchanged in ignorance of each other at the same time. It will not lead to contract. Next, counter offer. Counter offer is like, suppose if I offer you or offer to Vinita my phone for 20,000 rupees. Vinita says, yes, I am ready to buy, but I will buy for 18,000. I am offering for 20,000 my telephone, but she is ready to buy it for 18,000. So it is not acceptance. It is called counter offer or conditional acceptance. Conditional acceptance is counter offer. Conditional acceptance is counter offer, and that also will not lead to contract. Now next, tenders. You must have seen in the newspaper that companies invite tenders. So tenders are like quotation, at what price you want to sell your goods or you want to give service. So here definite offer means goods or service requirement is only for one time. So when there is a one time requirement of goods or service, it is called definite offer. Then standing offer means here the goods or services are required over a period of time in installments. Like for 1 year you require, but you require every 3 months. So it is called a standing offer. You are requiring for a particular period of time like 1 year or 2 years, and you require the goods for every 3 months. So every time when you place an order after 3 months, so every time it becomes a new contract. So like that it is called standing offer. The offer stands for 1 year duration or offer stands for 2 year duration. That is the meaning of standing offer. The offer will be standing, and whenever there is a requirement you can place the order. So this is about standing offer. Now let us go through the special terms of offer. Under special terms of offer, like one question, terms and conditions are there in offer or acceptance. Remember, all the terms and conditions will be available only in the offer but not in the acceptance. So all the terms of the offer should be displayed or should be made known to the offeree before he accepts the offer. If any terms and conditions shown to him after entering into contract, that condition is not effective or is not binding on the offeree. For example, we will take this case Ole versus Marlborough Court Limited. Under this, Ole visits or goes to a hotel, he books a room, and at the reception counter he pays the money and he books the room. After going to his room, he sees in the bedroom it is written that hotel authorities are not liable for any theft or your belongings if they are lost. So this is written in the bedroom. Actually this should have been written at the reception counter. Whether he reads or not, but the terms and conditions should be visible before entering into contract, but not after entering into contract. So if Ole's luggage is lost he is going to file a case against hotel authorities, and hotel authorities have to pay him the money because the term was not written at the reception counter, but it was written in the bedroom. So this is about it. All the terms and conditions must be visible at the time of entering into the contract. Offeree must be aware of the terms and conditions at the time of entering into the contract. Next, suppose a transport company has agreed to take your goods from one place to another place, and after taking your goods, it issues a circular and it limits its liability or it restricts its liability in case of damage, then that circular is of no use because this circular should have been shown to the party before accepting the goods. So that is the meaning. Next, conditions may be attached to tickets. For example, if you go to a railway station and you put all your luggage in the clock room, they will issue you a ticket. And on that ticket, it is written that please look for further conditions at the back. If that attention is taken out and you look into those conditions, like what railway authorities are liable for, how much loss, everything, those terms and conditions are binding. But if it is not written on the ticket in the front, please look for further conditions, then those conditions are not binding. In the same way, next thing, suppose the illiterate lady puts her luggage in the clock room and everything is very clearly written on the ticket, but she is illiterate, she can't read. Still all the conditions are binding because ignorance of law is no excuse. Next, but suppose if it is not a ticket but it is in a receipt form. Receipt form, here we have one case, Chapelton versus Barry Urban District Court, Council. So in this case, what happens? Chapelton takes one chair on hire basis and deck chair on a hire basis, and he receives a receipt for it and he uses that chair, going to use the chair for 3 hours. He never thought there can be some terms and conditions on that receipt, but it was written on that municipal authorities are not liable for any damage or injury. So it was written, but he was not aware that receipt also has any conditions, terms and conditions. So he uses the deck chair and he falls and he gets injured also because that was not in a good condition. So now here, Chapelton can file a case against municipal authorities and claim the money. So this is about it. So receipts cannot have any terms and conditions. There is nothing to believe on that. That is why Chapelton could get back the money. Next, acceptance normally means accepting all the terms and conditions which are there in the offer, which are shown at the time of entering into the contract. But there is no acceptance in exceptional cases, like when there is a misrepresentation or fraud, he has not been shown. Next, the notice is not sufficient, like on the ticket it is not written that please look back for further terms, or there is nothing to believe, like there is a receipt and nobody believes that on receipt there will be any terms and conditions. So in those conditions, it is not binding. Such terms and conditions are not binding on the offeree.